program. This is Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, as named by the readers of the Lake City Reporter, 9 straight years and running the team from GulfCoast Financial Services, and founder and CEO John Kuykendall here with us as always. John, today going to be discussing what could be a kind of controversial topic, and that is the difference in financial planning between men and women. And when it comes to our money and investments, is there really a difference between what men and women should do? Does gender create some differences? Are there really different strategies? And as it turns out, yes, there are. And we'd like to know why, John.
Well, Peter, I think, for one thing, there are a couple of reasons. One is the disparity of wages in the workforce. And so that's certainly that women, have traditionally made less than men, and their jobs aren't as high as paying. So their Social Security and things like that aren't as much as men's have been. The second thing is that women are caregivers. I mean, they, stay at home with the kids for a long time. They take care of their families, their parents. So, they're more going to be the caregiver than the man's going to be. And so that's created the problem. And then also, they're more likely to have professional interruptions, pregnancies, different things that men don't have to go through, create a little bit of a disparity. The biggest disparity, I think, is that women are going to live longer. And so we have to plan for a longer retirement for them. And so we have to figure out how we're going to take those disparities that we talked about earlier and how we're going to make it up so that we can give them the kind of income they need during retirement, and also make up, if they're married, for that 40-50% loss in income they're going to have when their spouse dies.
So all of those factors, John, play into why there is a difference between the financial needs, the requirements, the strategies between the genders, between men and women. So those factors being the case, what do women need to do about it or consider in their planning efforts?
Well, what we need to consider is education, Peter. I think that, they need to be educated more on the different types of investments, the different types of options for them to retire. They need help in their 401k. The last survey we looked at, women actually use financial advisors less than men. And so I don't know why that is. A lot of times they'll, when I've talked to women about why they haven't gone to an advisor before, it's that they felt like they weren't listened to. And so, we want to make sure that we're listening to them, we're understanding their problems, and that we can help them to make up for all the deficiencies that they're facing. But it is achievable, Peter. And, we just have to educate them and make sure that through that financially focused income plan that we have created that income they're going to need for a really long time.
I think there is another statistic, and I don't know exactly the number, John, but it speaks to and alludes to that quality that you just mentioned, that maybe they are not feeling as heard or listened to. As I read somewhere that a high occurrence prevalency of women changing financial advisors when they do consult one, when and if their spouse passes away, that they may not have that relationship or the strength of relationship with the current advisor and may make a change of their own.
That's right. I mean, that's true. I don't know what the numbers are either, Peter, but certainly the men are more connected with the financial advisor than the women are. Now, when we have meetings, we try to include the spouses because we want the male or the woman, whichever one, is the primary account holder here. We want both of them to be involved. We want both of them educated, and we want to work an income plan for both of them. And so we try to have joint meetings so that we can keep the spouses involved, and they know why we're doing different things with beneficiaries, why this is done. And we want to make sure that we've got them educated to the best that we can do.
John, you have mentioned many times on this program, not speaking gender specifically, but speaking in general terms about the challenges that retirees face, that longevity is actually one of the greatest challenges, period, for all planners. Now, the fact that women do tend to live longer and have that longer life expectancy, does that make that greatest challenge of longevity even that much more challenging?
Well, yeah, Peter, because when I look at a plan, we start with our planning. Usually the plan will cover the male, what we expect the male's life expectancy to be. But then all of a sudden, a bunch of red pops up. And that's when the wife or the spouse is continuing, but they don't have the same amount of money or the same resources because we haven't planned for that. And so that's what we try to do. We try to make sure that when we get through with a plan, we've covered both individuals and especially covered the ladies through that red spot through their life expectancy. And women right now is 88, over a little over 88 years. So we try to plan for 90 for spouses, for women. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. We look at it from a male's perspective, they're covered, but we want to make sure that we get the lady covered also.
Well, a couple things specifically that need to be addressed, and you mentioned one briefly earlier, but Social Security has some implications for lifetime income, obviously, but specifically survivorship income is impacted.
Well, we're going to lose one. We're going to lose one Social Security, so we're going to lose the smaller and keep the bigger. But in most cases, that's about 40% less income that we're going to the spouse is going to have, the surviving spouse is going to have. And so what we try to do is make that up with lifetime annuities, lifetime income that's predictable, sustainable, that we know they're going to get every month, the first of the month, and they can plan that and work their budgets that way.
And then another one, John, that I know we've talked about often here, but healthcare expenses toward the end of life. This is not just one person's expenses that we're talking about. These are the additional expenses that put strains on the finances of a married couple.
Well, that's true, Peter. And one thing that we really like is the annuities, the income annuities that we have will let us do joint life. So we can insure both lives with the same amount of money as long as either one of them is alive. And also with that hybrid long-term care, we can pick up a long-term care benefit that can be for one of them or for both of them, depending upon which one uses it first. So it really works into our planning that we try to do those things when we put together the plan. We want to look at taxes, Social Security. We're going to look at income. We want to make sure that we have enough income and resources for both people, not planning so much for the future generations, but just making sure first that the couple has enough income for their lifetime.
Well, John, two men sitting here talking about the difference in the needs of planning of the different genders. Just want to emphasize that we do need to consider the differences and to plan carefully and specifically. And I know that you take a very careful approach to planning, period, but also one that considers and tries to educate each individual client on the uniqueness of their situation and plan accordingly and confidently for their financial future.
Well, that's true, Peter. We just had a lady client of ours who lost her spouse a couple of weeks ago. Now, we've already given her a call. We sat down with her. We've talked to her about where we're going to be. As we go forward, we're going to do that more and more. We're going to make sure that she's comfortable and that she doesn't make any decisions without first let's running it through the plan, seeing where we are and how it's going to affect her for her long term.
Well, I think that is something that would add a lot of confidence in any dynamic of spousal relationship, knowing that there's a trusted resource, third party there, and three generations under one roof of resource there at GulfCoast Financial Services. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've had those conversations with each other, if you maybe have not connected with an advisor to be that resource, or if you'd like to review those conversations and the strategies and the planning, the careful planning that you've done, know that GulfCoast Financial Services is a resource for you, for your family, for your spouse, even for generations. So children having those conversations with parents and planning for grandchildren as well. That's all part of the planning process there at GulfCoast Financial Services and part of the specific written financially focused retirement plan that they put together. So if you'd like to get that put together or review and evaluate your current plan, pick up the phone, give them a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. John, a good conversation today, an important one. We always appreciate the perspective and the information that you provide.
Well, it's a hard topic, Pete. Nobody likes to talk about death. Nobody likes to talk about them not being here. But it's something we all face and we all have to get around to sooner or later. And the sooner the better in the planning. So hopefully we can continue this later and do some more discussions about spousal planning, especially. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, John is a two-time celebrated author. Most recent book, Quitting is for Winners, Retirement is Not for Wimps, talks about many of the challenges that we face into and throughout our retirement timeline and lifespan and what we need to do and consider with our money. So if you'd like a copy, again, pick up the phone, give a call, that same number, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018, or just swing by the office there at Gulf Coast Financial Services. Once again, John, we always appreciate the time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Peter. It's great being here. See you next week. Hey, if you'd like a copy of our new book, Quitting is for Winners, but Retirement's Not for Wimps, I encourage you to click the link below and get your copy today. Hey, we like it when you listen to the show, but we like it better when you like, share, subscribe, or feel free to leave a comment.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through Gulf Coast Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. Gulf Coast Financial Services, Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities, Inc. or Kovac Advisors, Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors, including changing market conditions and/or